This is a very large pleasure of mine to introduce Bill Waters. I've known Bill for approximately 45 years now. I guess we first met because of Travelways Hockey. He volunteered his services to me at that time. He owned Bernata Sports, and he was a hockey agent. And he said, if I can help any of your players, I'd be more than happy to accommodate them. I said, thank you very much, Bill. And that's a long time ago. We've been friends now for 45 years, I guess. He got me into a lot of trouble along the way. More than my wife would like to know about. At any rate, Bill was a star athlete. He grew up in Orillia. His family has resided in Orillia for a whole lifetime. And he was a star athlete with Orillia District Collegiate. He was a running back, a defensive back, a track star, and from there he went on to the University of Toronto, where he also was a star athlete. He was a halfback or a fullback in those days, and a defensive back. And he was, the last 2 years he was in the school at University of Toronto. He was captain of the team, which had a lot of very good football players in that team, by the way. And then his final year, he was voted the most outstanding player in the university football team. I forget the name of the award. I should have my paper out here. You'll nudge me after. At any rate, from there, he went on, and he was very instrumental. I think there's a lot of Orillias that don't realize how instrumental Bill was in having the Orwell camp here and remain here for the years that it did. Bill at the time, along with Natty, were high school teachers in Toronto, and Eagleson. Some of us like him, some of us don't. Convinced him to come from high school. He was a phys ed teacher and run the Orwell camp, which he did. So, I mean, Orillia got a hell of a good name for hockey, especially because of that camp. And a lot of that credit goes to Bill Waters. From that standpoint on, he carried on in sports. He was involved as a hockey agent, Bernata Sports. I remembered that name, Wilbur. And so he was an agent to many pro hockey players, some very big stars like Bobby Orr, Mike Walton. And he carried on with that business. He got into the, I'm going to call it the sports news business. He was on radio and on not so much TV at the time, but radio. And he was doing play-by-play along with a friend of his, a good friend. And he did the color commentating for that. And from there, he became assistant general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs. He was hired by Cliff Fletcher for that job, and he and Cliff had quite a run. I think it was almost 15 years, Bill, or close to it. I know he was involved with the Newfoundland team for 15 years. And, excuse me. And from that, he was assistant GM of the Leafs. And when the Leafs decided to move to the Air Canada Centre, they thought, what the hell are we going to do with this Maple Leaf Gardens? We're going to have to mothball it. So they asked Bill if he knew of any sports or anything that might fit in to Maple Leaf Gardens to kind of transition the time from the Leafs leaving to going to the Air Canada Centre. So I guess I was one of the first suckers he called. Smitty, I said, yeah. Do you know anything about lacrosse? I said, not much, but I played it as a young fellow in Toronto. Well, here's what I'm proposing. What do you think about starting a pro lacrosse team, and we'll run it out of Maple Leaf Gardens? He said, oh, he'll get some brownie points for it. And he said, I'll round up some investors, other suckers like myself, of which a few other of the suckers are here tonight. I wasn't the only Aurelian. Anyway, they're also here tonight. And anyway, we started the Toronto Rock. And the one story I remember very well about the Toronto Rock, when we started, he came to me and he said, now Smitty, I said, yeah, how many people do you think we'll put in Maple Leaf Gardens tonight? I said, you know what? I think we'll be lucky to put maybe 1,000, maybe 2,000 people in Maple Leaf Gardens. Smitty, you need your head read. What the hell are you talking about? There'll be 8,000 to 10,000 there tonight. And I thought, here's what I said to him, and this is a true story. I said, Wilbur, if you've got enough nerve at halftime, if there are 10,000 people here, I will personally bail you out of Harold Billard's box where he used to hide all the time and kiss your ass. That's the true story. And if he tells you otherwise, he's lying. Anyway, the rest is history. We had to delay the game an hour and a half. The people were lined up to the subway station, from the subway station right to the gardens. They had to call in extra help to sell tickets because we didn't even sell tickets ahead of time. We sold them game day. And Molson, he suckered them in to being a sponsor. And so they were going to supply the booze, and we got a good cut from that. And I thought, oh, that'll be good. I like beer. Anyway, the long and the short of it, we had to delay the game an hour and a half because there was so many people that had to get in. They had to call staff in to sell tickets. By the end of the first quarter, they thought the lacrosse crowd drank the way a hockey crowd drank. Guess what? No comparison. Molson's had to roll kegs of beer up the elevator, which had already been closed down, and the Gardens executive were like myself, thinking, they'll be lucky to get 1,000 or 2,000 here, not 8 or 10. And, you know, the rest is kind of history. From there, he suckered another friend of his into broadcasting the games on TV, which was more of a mistake because then we got more people and we needed more beer. Anyway, we go on TV, you know, and I'm thinking 1,000, 2,000 people on TV. I don't believe this. At any rate, from there, the first 2 years we were at Maple Leaf Gardens. We won 2 National Lacrosse League championships. And over the next 5 years, we won another 3. So we won 5 in 7 years. And we also outsold the Leafs in, believe it or not, beer. We sold 100 kegs of beer a night. Now Molson smartened up, okay, after the first game. They never, after that, had to roll kegs of beer up the elevator. They had them there. At any rate, based on his input and his management, that team became one of the most successful teams probably in National lacrosse league history. Okay, just the streak that they went on. And we were fortunate enough to get out from under after about 10 years of it. And another fella that we kind of knew bought the team. But during that tenure, something that not many people realize, I don't think, certainly Mike Clover, who's at a table over there, oh, Mike's table, yeah, realized the lacrosse registration almost tripled from about 10,000 to 30,000. And I don't know what the hell happened since then, but it's down to about 10,000 again today. But it was a very popular sport, and we had sellout crowds at Maple Leaf Gardens. We had sellout crowds at the Air Canada Centre, and that team, of course, there's a few players here tonight. Actually, a captain, I think, and an assistant captain that are here. I mean, it was just a pleasure to be around that crew. And aside from the lacrosse, he helped many players that I was involved in, which you'll likely hear about later. The Aurelia Travelways. Many of those players, a few of which are here tonight, he became their agent. And not only did they succeed at Tier 2 junior hockey, they went on and played for the American Hockey League and the NHL. And some of them were not just ordinary players, they were all-stars. And I don't know if they would have been there without Phil Waters. At any rate, as I would say, I've already taken too much time. Roy Mex has already warned me, and Dave Dawson said I had a lead put on my back, yeah. Stewie? Okay. At any rate, before I go, holy Mackinac! Guess